Sawete discipulai. Today's very short video is another lesson in Chapter 9 in Volume 2 for Latin for the New Millennium, and it's on the irregular verb fio, fieri, factus sum. So as you can probably see from the three principal parts, fio, fieri, factus sum is a little oddball. It's what we call a composite verb, meaning that it's made up actually of two verbs that have kind of been smushed together, okay? The present forms of this verb in the indicative and the imperative and the subjunctive come from the verb fio. The perfect forms, however, again, indicative, subjunctive, all the perfect forms, are identical to the passive form of facio. In fact, I know this is a little bit strange to consider, but fio is in a way, in the present system, in the present, imperfect, and future, functions as the passive of facio in the present system. So what I mean by that is this. Facio, facere, faci, factum doesn't actually have passive forms in the present system, but it does have passive forms in the perfect system, right? Factus sum, or maybe factum est, it was made, okay? So fio, even though, as you'll see, its endings are more or less active, with one exception, it can translate passively and therefore functions as the passive of the verb facio, okay? So in the present system, I know it says here only, but you mostly have active forms, the infinitive notwithstanding. In the perfect system, you have passive forms, but all forms of these verbs can translate actively or passively. It can translate as it happens, it occurs, it is done, it is made, or it becomes. And the same in the perfect. Factum est can mean it happened, it occurred, it was done, it was made, or it became. Now, when you translate fio, this verb, as to become, it is a linking verb, which means you use the predicate nominative. So, for example, if you say, I am happy, right? Felix sum. You use felix in the nominative because sum is a linking verb, right? Well, the same is true of fio. So if you want to say, I become happy, or I will become happy, or something along those lines, you would say fio or fiam, felix, right? You would still use the predicate nominative. Okay, so I go through a full conjugation of this verb. Here is the present indicative, fio, fis, fit, fimus, fetus, fiunt. In the imperfect and in the future, it forms exactly as you would more or less expect it to if it were a fourth conjugation verb, okay? The present imperative is pretty crazy. It's fi. The plural imperative is fite. And again, that's exactly what you would expect them to be if this were a regular fourth conjugation verb. I want you to go ahead and write down the present, perfect, and future infinitives, as well as the perfect participle and the future participle. I know that you're not going to really recognize that ending on the future participle because we haven't done this form yet, but we will, so I wanted you to go ahead and have it in your notes. Here is fio in the present and imperfect subjunctive, fiam, fias, fiat, fiamus, fiatus, fiant. And in the imperfect, fierem, fieres, fieret, fieremus, fieretus, fierent. All right, that is it. Please make sure that you took good notes in all the charts, and also that you listened to this presentation, because there are a couple things that I finessed in the narration that weren't exactly on the slides. I hope you all have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Walete.